Hello and welcome to Psychology Live. I'm Dr. Gail Majcher and with me is Mary DiPaolo, limited licensed psychologist. Today we will be talking about codependency. We said we would last time, but we were answering listeners' questions, which are very important to us. So Mary's going to let you know how to contact us.
You can contact us through our Facebook page, Psychology Live. You can either post your comments or questions right on the page or private message us on that page. drgail.com, yourweeklysession.blogspot.com, and we're both on psychologytoday.com as part of their therapist online profiles, zip code 48167 in order to reach us through that means.
And we've also been getting messages just from our listeners on YouTube, so you can message us right there, which is really nice.
She keeps thinking we're in radio. It's like you're watching us.
We were on radio.
You're watching us on YouTube. Our viewers on YouTube, okay?
We had the first all-female radio show here in the Detroit area. It was a great thing. And so, yes, I'm always thinking about the listeners, but your viewers, I have to remember that.
So to kick off codependency, let's just say this. If you struggle with chronic feelings of hurt, anger, loneliness, guilt, shame, and or confusion, chances are pretty great that you may be codependent.
Codependency is a really difficult condition, and so many women especially suffer from it, although of course I see men who are codependents too. At the bottom line, codependents give up themselves for the sake of other people. Now, some of that is a really good thing to do, where we care about people, we have compassion for them, we have empathy for them, we anticipate what they might need. But codependents go beyond that, where they give up their own feelings, thoughts, wants, desires for the sake of someone else. And before you know it, they become less and less of a self. And ego strength is what keeps you strong. That becomes less and less because they're giving up themselves.
Gail is talking about what I term the codependent giver mentality or mode. When you are a codependent giver, your whole underlying motive for doing what you do is you want the acceptance, approval, and love of that person that you're giving to. But what you don't realize in your giving, you do have expectations. You want that acceptance, approval, and love. And when you don't get it, you're frustrated.
Which becomes very confusing because you are being loving and giving and you're really caring. When you're a mother and you're giving so much to your children and you're giving so much to a spouse and giving so much to your parents, you think it's a very loving thing to do, which it is. The only problem is the boundaries are thrown off.
Right. And unlike, in the Bible, it says be a cheerful giver and all the scripture that's there about loving and giving without expectation, codependent people do give with expectation because they want that acceptance, approval, and love. And so they become over-responsible for satisfying the needs of others. And when you think about it, and it's a very important point to make about the codependent giver mentality, when somebody really does depend on you more than they should because you are being over-responsible for them, you're teaching them fundamental incompetence.
Absolutely. And the thing about the codependents, they don't even realize that they're doing this. They just think that they are being a good person and this is what you are supposed to do. I know I've been one, so I certainly understand. I've been that way in relationships with my children where I would give too much, but I didn't realize I was giving too much until it became abundantly clear. And that element that Mary's talking about where you want acceptance and love and approval back, you're not even aware that that is a part of why you're giving so much, but it is.
Sure. And, along with that over-responsibility, codependent people, whether you're a giver mode or a taker mode, which we'll talk about perhaps in the next show more in depth, when you're in that codependent mode, you cannot see reality as it truly is. You see people, circumstances, and situations the way you want to see them, which could have a false positive spin attached or a false negative spin attached, which is not good.
I'll give you an example of that. That comes up all the time in marriage counseling. Say it's a woman and she's talking about everything she does. And she's mad. She's mad that she's giving this much and he's not. And the common statement by the partner is, I never expected you to do that. I never expected that. It was in the woman's mind that that was the expectation of what you do when you are a partner. And then she's mad at her husband because she's doing all this, but he never even asked her to do it.
Right, right. And that is one of the aspects of being a codependent giver that the codependent giver doesn't want to have to face when it starts getting discussed in this context, because they're only giving really and truly what they feel like giving or what they think they should be giving, because don't they know better than anybody else what's right for that person that they're giving to?
And that really is the key. It's what the codependent thinks should be given. I should give this much to my children. I should give them this much money. I should give them all my time and energy. I should have the house perfect, food perfect, all that for my spouse. Wow, that's so many shoulds up in your head. One person can't do all the things that a codependent thinks that they have to do, and at some point they get frustrated. And when it's not coming back even a small portion towards them, they're very confused by it. But in reality, codependents teach all those people around them that they don't have to give to them. Because they're fine, they're fine.
Right.
They're fine, and they'll take care of everything.
And it's so tragic because, as I was saying, they're over-responsible. Givers are over-responsible. They don't see reality, people, circumstances, situations as they actually are, but how they want to see them. But they also feel like they're being controlled by the people that are taking from them, when in reality, more often than not, they're being very controlling because they're trying to dictate, you need this, you should be doing that, blah, blah, blah.
And here I will help you because this is what you should be doing. So I will help you with it. I will support you in it. I'll give you money. I'll do whatever you need because that's what you should be doing. And maybe that's not what the person should be doing.
Exactly.
But I can't stress enough that codependents come from a good place where they want to give, they want to love. It's the boundaries are off on how much they give.
Right, and what you mentioned in the last session that was really important, there's always an element of abuse involved with the codependent relationship. Because think about it, if you really listened and waited until someone asked you for something, you're good, because then you can say yes, no, maybe later, you could give, whatever, but that person asked you for it. You don't just jump and go, oh, you need this from me, you need that from me. One of the classic kind of funny stories I have about that, there were two sisters. One was always making all the food for everybody at every family event, making 10,000 cookies, 10,000 pieces of chicken, whatever. One day her sister called her and said, hey, I'm having some friends over Saturday night. I need 50 cookies, 50 hamburgers, 50 pieces of chicken. And all of a sudden the sister who does all this giving with the food got her back up and said, well, are we invited? And the sister goes, no, I know you're just into cooking. Oh, well, really? There you go, see?
That's a really good example. I know for me, when I finally started working through some of the codependency, and by the way, I was a single parent, and I think when you're a single parent, it's very easy to give too much to your kids because there's always that little bit of guilt that there's not the other parent there and they're in a single parent home, so you give even more. I've seen that so many times, and I did it myself too. So when I finally learned about codependency and started looking at my own, by the way, I'm a real believer in therapists going through therapy for years to really work on their own stuff, which is what I did. And I was shocked to realize I could say no. And I think, wow, I would be like a multi-millionaire right now if I had just said no. But every time I heard someone had a need, it was here, let me help you. You're here.
And the codependent mentality really is about people don't treat each other as equals with mutual respect. They treat each other like objects, and it's all about, what are you doing for me? What am I getting from you? Blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. It's a hot mess, cray-cray, for real. And next time, because we're getting close to our 10 minutes, we're going to talk in depth about the codependent taker, because contrary to popular belief, we're all givers and we're all takers when we're caught up in that codependent trap lifestyle.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Bye.